As a man, what are some of the most ridiculous double standards you've had to deal with? This girl at my office had a crush on me, told everyone, started doing stuff like calling me her work husband, which I said was not okay. Things got slowly worse. She started pranking me. She took a picture of me, then cut out my face and started putting it all over the office. All over. Got coworkers to start talking to me about how fun and quirky she is, etc. Wrapped up my cube in Christmas paper. I asked her to stop. Even spoke with her manager. Nothing. I got a card from my girlfriend for Valentine's Day. She lit it on fire and threw it in the sink in the break area. Apparently this is still cute and just her showing me she cares. I ended up quitting. This is where I would talk to HR and say I am giving them the opportunity to deal with it properly so that I don't have to hire a lawyer. Was in a store for little girls trying to find my daughter the unicorn hairball she was asking for. My wife, who was waiting in the car outside, overheard some women leaving the store talking about how creepy it was for a man to be there. Like I'm there for my daughter. The same when I had to buy panties for my 6-year-old daughter. This is so sick. I went through a 6-month heated political battle 10 years ago at work around gender equality and responsibilities of duty, which still leaves me shaking my head. Basically, I used to run many sales teams across North America. These salespeople lived on the road, either taking 2 to 4 flights a week or driving 80k miles a year if they had a rural territory driving around to different parts. They took a minute of 15k base salary and earned 5% of everything they sold as commission. Base salary was set by years worked as a professional seller, plus seniority at the firm. Cost of living increase and 5k bump in base every year you hit plan, or 2.5k bump for not being terrible. Top salespeople made 250k a year. Learners and entry people made 35 to 50k. Mid-pack was about 80 to 120k. They also got to keep all their credit card points, which could add up to 2 family vacations a year with how they were spending on travel and entertainment. One day I got an official letter of complaint by a female saleswoman who complained that her male colleague got extra leads from a trade show and it wasn't fair. The most egregious part is that she was on the lower end of mid-pack even though she had the job for 5 years, and she was complaining about a kid who just started his job and barely made rent money. All of a sudden about half my sales teams who were women starting the same complaint in support of the first person, even though careful analysis showed our lead distribution process was very fair. I had almost a stoppage of work because of this complaint. After a 6-month-long investigation and interviewing every one of my 500 sellers, turns out majority of the time female sellers, all but 2, and those 2 were consistently in the top 5 sellers in the country. Consistently left trade show floors earlier to catch flights they booked to get home earlier. Never did tear down and packing up equipment and shipping equipment out. A process that could take 2 to 5 hours longer. There was nothing stopping anyone from wanting to help tear down. My sellers set their own schedules and booked their own flights. All of the men said they always seemed to be the de facto tear down people, and they were happy to do it because during this time, other salespeople from the trade show would shoot the crap and relationships would bloom and new areas of distribution or direct customers would form because it would be the same set of people staying behind an extra half day to pack up. Rinse repeat over a course of a year or 2 with a trade show every 2 weeks. And those that stayed behind to do cleanup work did in fact showcase higher performance on commission. In a job that is majority commission based and not exactly hard to measure performance, and the activities that supported higher performance, have more meetings, meet more new people, track and follow up thoroughly, we still had people thinking it was a gender discrimination issue. Even after all that, I'd wager the individuals complaining still weren't convinced. I wear skin-tight suits at the indoor skydive center I used to work at. The number of times I got touched inappropriately by women is crazy. Worst part? Management told me to take it as a compliment, that I should be happy with the attention. I was a male who worked in childcare for 5 years. I understood the reasoning behind it, but I had to be absolutely dead careful to be impeccable in my dealings with kids and parents, just because anything slightly off about my vibe etc. could spell the end of my career. I had on more than one occasion have a new parent who hadn't dealt with me before refuse to leave their kid at the school with me if I was the only staff on the premises, opting to wait in the car until a female staff member arrived. This wasn't the case with parents who were familiar with me, but new parents often just didn't trust me at all. When I resigned from the school, the other staff said how irreplaceable I was, how much the kids and staff trusted and appreciated me, etc. I really think I did a good job, but even so, just being a male meant that I was trusted less from the get-go. I didn't hold it against anyone, but it was a double standard I ran into often. A mother, even if she's a drug addict and violent, is considered a more suitable parent than the father. FYI, I got sole custody through court after a 3-year fight with social workers who didn't believe me. My cousin was the kid in this scenario, except the court sided with the mother and he spent 3-4 years with a coked up narcissist while my uncle went on to have another family. My cousin ran away to my uncle and the courts finally sided with him. Funny how much work my uncle had to do to get his son back. If you're a stay-at-home father, or worse, just a stay-at-home spouse as a male, there's a sizable portion of people who are going to think less of you as a man, assume you're a freeloader, etc. While the opposite is true to an extent as well. Stay-at-home mothers or housewives are far more socially accepted. People will sing the praises of stay-at-home moms, call it the hardest job in the world, ask if her husband is helping out enough at home, etc. A man will be asked if he's on babysitting duty, will be mocked for playing Mr. Mom, will be ridiculed for staying home while his wife works, having his wife wear the pants, criticized for not providing for his family, etc. I was out of work for a period due to my gym temporarily closing as a result of COVID restrictions, meaning my girlfriend was supporting us. I had worked for the entirety of our 15-year relationship until that point, but that didn't stop people from acting as if I was a deadbeat. I am a woman and it bugs me so much when people say dads are babysitting. No fear the parent, it's called parenting. Or when people presume a dad with a kid doing something fun means it's the dad's visitation day or whatever. When a girl is into you at the bar and you say no, holy crap do they go hard out, and when you really drop the absolutely not, I've gotten hit, kicked, my drink hit out of my hand, called every name in the book. No means no, but I guess only for chicks. I've had a drink thrown in my face for telling a girl I'm sorry but I have a girlfriend. As a single dad with custody of my son, the amount of times I've been asked why do you have him on a first date or when I start talking to a woman on a dating app is ridiculous. I can only imagine what would happen if a single mother was asked that same question. Why is it completely acceptable for a woman to leave a man and take his kids away? No questions asked. But when a man has custody, I'm treated like I must have stolen my own child. When I was asked that, it used to pee me off, because it was always why do you have them? My answer was always the same. She became unfit to raise children when she died. Behavior when drunk. Plenty of times you see women being overly aggressive or even just incredibly drunk in a bar club where you know a man would be ejected, but women are allowed to stay because they're seen as less of a threat. Having women touch or grab me without consent. When I open up about my problems I get ignored. I've heard dumb things like men should get paid less than women to make it even. And to top it all off, I had a female stalker who went so far as to contact my family members to ask about me, tell lies about me, and told administration at my high school that I was spreading rumors, leading to me getting brought to the dean's office. Upon telling my side of the story, the dean said, "Yeah, you're not the first. I guarantee if it was a male student they would have gotten expelled." To be clear, I love women, but everybody has to deal with crap. My friend was told, "You can't work here because you have long hair. You need to cut it because men have short hair." They wanted to do massage work. Both men and women do this there, but he isn't allowed because he is a man, but has long hair. Only women are allowed to have long hair there. Felt bad for them. I run into that a good bit. I work in an industry where all men have very short hair. Had a team lead, not mine, tell me to cut my hair. I just nodded, smiled, and kept my mouth shut. I wanted to say, "You lose 20 pounds and I'll get right on it." It's infuriating. I was at my wife's company Christmas party and the girlfriend of her co-worker straight up grabbed me, wrapped her arm around me from the side and squeezed my butt. Then she asked my wife if it was okay. She literally didn't even say hi to me. I felt like an object. I was too surprised to do or say anything for like a solid 60 seconds. My wife didn't really register what was going on, so didn't say much of anything. The boyfriend didn't see, I guess. Anyway, flip the genders and it's somebody would have said or done something. Oh, you must feel so terrible. I'm so sorry. Please talk to your wife. It's better to let it all out. When men open up about their feelings, they're often viewed as weaker, less masculine, immature, and too emotional. When women open up about their feelings, they're often viewed as more empowered, more feminine, more mature, and more in touch with their emotions. When men fail, they're often viewed as pathetic and not working hard enough. When women fail, they're often viewed as hard workers staying strong in an unfair world. When men make more money than women, there's controversy about the wage gap. When women make more money than men, those men are viewed as inadequate and lacking ambition. I've never actually had this happen to me, but when a man cheats, it's his fault and he's the bad guy. But when a woman cheats, it's the man's fault still, because if the man was good, she wouldn't have cheated. I have had this happen to me and got this exact explanation. Mental illness. I'd go to a therapist that was helping me. All she did was tell me the women in my life were not responsible for me being messed up and that I should reassess myself and look for why I'm the bad person and making these women act like this around me. Women being me stepmother and her mother. Wicked bastards. Having to spend thousands of dollars to gain shared parenting with my son's mother, because in Ohio if you aren't married, mother has full custody, but at the same time be expected to pay child support of a child they don't even recognize as mine when it comes to wanting shared time with him. Full-time single parent now because the mom is more into drugs and dudes who are in and out of jail than actually being a parent. My son and I couldn't be any happier. Good for you, man. Happy you are both happy. I don't really like that women want to be treated as equal but are perfectly fine with letting their man pay for all their dates. Some women I've dated are better than others, but ideally, they are not making it awkward. They pull out their card and take the bill. Or they tell you in advance, I'm taking you on a date and paying for everything. I fully believe it should be at least proportionate to your incomes. Like, the guy should pay 75% of the time if his income represents 75% of their total income. But that lady should be covering roughly 25%. Also, this only applies in a relationship. I'm okay with paying for the first few dates during a dating period. I want a gal who supports me and wants me to be able to save money, as I would want that for her too. I feel disrespected when they're never paying. Growing up with a younger sister, she was allowed to do whatever she wanted. She'd pick fights and I'd be the one who got in trouble for defending myself. She stabbed me and I got grounded for provoking her. She stomped on my toys and broke them. I got in trouble because she hurt her foot in the process. She'd say some stupid little phrase over and over again for months and they never said a word about it. I say one time to her and out of nowhere my dad knocks me to the floor and yells in my ear that he's tired of hearing it. Sounds like the type of people I'd never talk to again. If I say women are trash, I might be called misogynistic. If a woman calls men trash, it's acceptable due to what men have done to them in the past. It's rude and stupid to generalize a category of people as bad just because you had some bad experiences with them. Money makes men more attractive. TBH, I don't think men really care what a woman does for a living so long as she isn't in a ton of debt and is at least mildly ambitious, whereas men are still expected to be the breadwinners. An attractive woman who waits tables may not think an average looking dude is worth her time until she finds out he's a software programmer making six figures. Now all of a sudden he's good enough for her. I often see how women treat men they don't like on dating shows. They will make fun of how short he is, how broke is, or how ugly it is. It's almost degrading. But nobody bats an eye. It's seen as good TV. Whenever a guy doesn't like a girl and does the same thing, which we rarely do, the guy is dragged on social media as being cruel and harsh. My issue with military hairstyles. Being a male with long hair, women can keep their hair, but I would be forced to be bald. It's idiotic. 1. Man who tells woman not to cut in the buffet line. Small, petty, ungentlemanly, unchivalrous, ungenerous. Woman who tells man not to cut in the buffet line. You go girl, show him who's boss. Not gonna put up with no crap. 2. Man who speaks directly and honestly. Insensitive, boorish, unchivalrous, small-hearted, mean-spirited, a bully. Woman who speaks directly and honestly. You go girl. Tell it like it is. You strong and beautiful sister. They had it coming. Yeah, you go girlfriend. I mean, just talking about the hardships of our gender is one. I've gotten the "oh it's so hard to be a man" hard. No, it obviously isn't, and I should just shut up about it and comply with societal expectations, I guess. I was sharing that with someone I thought was a friend and was literally told I should check my privilege. We both get drunk, we frick, but I will face the consequences because she couldn't consent even though she enthusiastically swallowed my dong. Mental health. It's the same people who tell you that it's okay to reach out for help who also tell you to man up, and that you should stop being emotional. Also no, it's not from another guy. Most of the time, it's from a woman. A lesson I learned pretty early on is to not open up to women like you do with men. IDK. I think our worlds are just so different that it's next to impossible for them to empathize or understand what the problem is. If you Google "my husband yells at me," the first result is a domestic violence support hotline. If you Google "my wife yells at me," you just get a bunch of forums, most of which tell you how to change your behavior because obviously she's stressed for a reason. I just tried it : a father getting praised for changing a diaper is praising someone for doing the basics. A woman praised for changing a tire, that's a massive achievement. Difference is that the man is expected to change the tire. Driving test. I had to drive through one of the hardest parts of the city. Made it through. Then made one simple mistake and failed. Woman was driving after me. Cop, male, had her drive 500 meters on straight road. Then told her to turn left and she passed. I was quite pissed how unfair it was. I only went to that school since my cousin told me how easy it was. I had zero previous driving experience. She had female cop and they talked about nails and other girly stuff. She was driving even less than women I mentioned and passed on first try. I guess she forgot to mention you gotta be a woman. Girls spending hours watching TV, doing makeup, or partaking in a vice and then telling me gaming, or any of my vices, take up too much time. I was a cop in my younger years and every female recruit had easier physical assessment requirements. Fewer push-ups, fewer sit-ups, and even getting over a 6-foot wall. They were allowed a little step stool. If male recruits could only do the female required physical assessments, they would not be allowed to graduate the academy. I always thought it was ridiculous. I was in the army. This always bugged the crap out of me. I'd have to bust butt to get a middle range score in the PT test while most women like you just showed up and almost maxed it. I do more work than the females in the same job. Male bosses will allow them to goof off, but if I do it I get in trouble real quick. I'm expected to do the woman's hard part of the job for her because I'm a male. We get the same pay but I work 50% harder. If a woman is threatening a guy with a knife, nothing will happen. Sometimes even the guy gets in trouble. But if a guy would threaten a woman with a knife, he would be in jail real fast. My ex hit me publicly in front of our mutual friends, and the friends, both men and women, chose to remain neutral and not pick sides when I broke up with her for it. It really hurt to see them hanging out with her on social media, so I had to drop them, unfortunately. Dang, I love this thread. It's astonishing how accurate every one of these are. Sad world hug. It's supposed to be 2021, am I right? A lot of people still stuck in the Stone Ages. It's a response to the thread on our Ask Women asking the exact same thing. Really interesting to see the answers on both subs. When people give a mother 100% of the credit for raising a baby. This is especially the case in South Asian cultures. Since men are not expected to help, they get zero credit even if they do it all. As a big guy, if I'm the aggressor, the other don't need credible proof to have the authorities take their side, but when I was jumped by 3 smaller male minorities, the female cop who responded to the call responded with, "Yes, but you're a big guy, you should have been able to handle yourself. Next time, mom." I surely will. Mine is tame in comparison and to be fair hasn't really happened often, but still felt so ridiculous. Really, my first big trip living alone was to the Eve online FanFest, and in the evening some dude tried to give me crap because I ordered a fruity drink from the bar instead of sucking on some industrialized hops pee. If my girl ain't emotionally happy, she can leave the relationship and tell me it isn't worth fighting for. But if I tried to leave, she would beg me to fight for the relationship and even cry. Tell me we had to sit and talk about it right here and now while I'd be upset and fuming trying to make space. So double edge here. I can't fight for the relationship, but she can only when it's convenient for her. I'm a teacher. I volunteer 2 weeks every summer at a camping to entertain the kids. I just like kids. They're creative, open-minded, unpredictable, and don't worry as much as adults do. Most little girls like me because I am caring, have long hair, jewelry and earrings, so they want me to pay a little more attention to them over other kids, which I sometimes do. That is, them sitting on my lap or me carrying them on my shoulders, arms. Multiple parents have filed complaints over me for apparently being a predator because of this. I am just trying to give these kids a good time. Let it be people. In addition, being grabbed at festivals by random girls and being called lucky. Like what the heck? Why is it okay to grab a guy but not a girl? In what freaking scenario should my gender decide whether I am lucky or assaulted? Literally all of life, girls have the audacity to tell guys that they don't recognize ambition in them, or that the guy is going nowhere, and a lot of the times it starts because the guy is carrying on a hobby of theirs that the girl thinks is childish. But if I was to amount a human by the needless hobbies they have, then girls would literally be worth zero. I've never met a girl whose insecurity hasn't made them who they are. It's literally a freaking joke. And the idea that women can be controlling, manipulative, because it's part of their nature, yet is so outlandish when a guy takes control of a setting. Don't get me started on the sorry I was being a bee. I was on my period. WHOTF cares. Control your emotions. Drunk mom at sport event tells me she would frick me and things would be very different right now if she was my age while we were alone in an elevator at night. I was 14. Imagine a drunk man cornering your 14-year-old daughter in an elevator and saying this to her. I'm a rather big guy. I lift every day, but honestly I don't realize I'm intimidating. I'm kind of a blundering idiot. I left my lights running in my car and went inside a grocery store. Came out and my battery was dead. I had jumper cables but needed another running car. Right then a young woman with 2 children walked up to the car next to me. I introduced myself and started to explain my plight and ask for help. She jumped in her car quick and drove off, didn't say a word. Then I realized I probably scared the crap out of her. Random big dude walked up to her while she was alone with her kids. I called a friend and he was 30 minutes away, but on his way to help me. I'm waiting next to the car and 2 police cruisers roll up on me. Hands on the car, vehicle search, the whole 9 yards. The lady had called the cops. My buddy showed up mid-search and they harassed him too. They were convinced we were running some abduction ring or something. They finally let us jump my car and go. Even then one of the cruisers followed me to my house. It was annoying. Lesson learned though, never ask for help from a stranger. My friend who's a single mom introduced her little daughter to me. She was so withdrawn that I asked my friend if she coached her daughter against going close to men. She said yes. I was shocked. I told her, we are not monsters. We are humans too. Anyone, male or female, is capable of harming a child. It's scary how people can make a child see, even a playful adult like myself, as a monster because I'm a man. Sometimes I think most women naturally hate men. Toxic masculinity. Somehow it's always perceived to be the guy's fault in relationships. There's such a thing as toxic femininity, but no one seems to be ready for that conversation. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.